G'day. How you doing? I'm doing alright, thanks. If you're wondering why I'm, speaking like this, no, it's not because I developed an accent in less than a month of being here. But for some reason, and honestly I have no idea why, because I never really thought of my American accent as that hard to understand. Also, for some reason, a couple of the words are coming out horribly right now, and I don't know why that is, because, in regular life I'll just mess up and occasionally say things a more American way, or, I'll mess up a word or overthink it or whatever, but, usually it's not this bad. But I never really, thought of my American accent as that hard to understand, but for some reason my grandmother just cannot understand me when I'm speaking with my American accent. So I was kind of forced to, try to get better at this. And honestly, it's probably horrible. Although a couple of people have told me, oh, wow, I didn't expect that you'd be from the United States. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks. But maybe that's just, because they thought I was from somewhere else, not here. I don't know. Anyway, I'm currently in Melbourne. I was in Sydney a little while ago. Sydney was fun. I was maybe going to record a video there, but I never did. So yeah, now I'm in Melbourne. I'm nowhere near where I'm staying right now, but, I'm in a park. It's nice. And you might be asking to yourself, well, you recorded a lot of videos not a lot. You might be saying to yourself, you recorded like 3 or 4 videos while you were in Australia. Why the fuck are you using the accent just now? Like, if your grandmother can't understand a word you're saying in your American accent, then obviously you must have been using it the entire time you were there. So why are you only now using it? And I'm not going to be lame and try to convince you, oh, I've just, gotten used to it. It's the default now. It's usually what I default to whenever I'm talking to somebody. But that's just because of the fact that, it makes it easier, everyday normal interactions, I'm not getting where you're from most of the time. The only people I get that from are people in the accommodation, and usually they're not asking because they think I'm not from Australia. Usually they're asking because of the fact that I'm not from Melbourne, and so they want to know where outside of Melbourne I'm from. Sorry if it, got really horrible while I was speaking sometimes. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the fact that I'm on camera now, and so now it has the potential to be judged by thousands of people. Makes me a bit more nervous. I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I got over that pretty quickly. But, or maybe I do give a shit. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop now. Because I don't usually speak like this in my videos, and while yes, I'm currently defaulting to it in most conversations, it's not like I've lost my accent, like, so anyway, yeah, that's a bit of an update. If you're in Melbourne, I'm not necessarily going to, meet up with you, but, definitely drop some places to go see in the comments, because I have some plans. I'm definitely going to see some penguins on an island at some point, but other than stuff like that, I really don't have any plans. I really don't have anything to prop this up against, which is why I'm holding it. Yeah. I mean, I did say that I don't have anything to prop it up against. My hair is still being a massive insecurity for me. I don't know, like, I guess it looks okay today, you know? But the second that it gets, you know, flat and weird, it's gonna suck. Because, like, right now, my only saving grace is really just that, like, I don't know, that it's, like, not sticking together. But once it starts, like, uniformly going down, it's gonna look horrible. I already know it. And it was happening all of yesterday. I looked ugly as shit. And really that just goes to show how much hair has an impact on how you look. Because, you know, you could be the hottest person in the world, but if you have shit hair, you're probably gonna look kind of ugly. Also, you know, like, because day before yesterday, I got on a train from Sydney to Melbourne, and it was an overnight train, so I bundled my travel and accommodation because I'm smart. Yeah, and so I took the train, right? And so, yeah, from 8:40 p.m. to like 7:30 a.m. I was on the train. And then, you know, I did some stuff. I took a tour. I, you know, checked into my accommodation when I could, after eating lunch, etc., etc. But I had not realized how much facial hair had grown overnight on the train. And, like, obviously, you know, I'm getting older. You know, I'm 19. Obviously, I'm not expecting to not grow facial hair. However, it's just an amount of growth that's not commonplace. Because one day's worth of growth usually wouldn't even be visible. But I looked at myself in the mirror yesterday, and not only did I look, you know, my hair look shit, but I also had this vague facial hair that made me not only look kind of old, but just weird and greasy and, like, ugh. I didn't, like, I can look at myself right now, because I'm using my front-facing camera, because of the fact that I don't have anything to prop it up on. So I'm using, or not my front, you know what I mean. I'm using the camera that's facing me, which might be the back-facing camera, might be the front-facing camera. I actually don't know right now, and I don't care to find out, actually. The point is, I can bear to look at myself right now. Like, I look okay. I look fine. Yesterday, every time I looked at myself, I was like, why am I hanging out with people? Why am I socializing? Like, I literally looked so horrible. And yeah, I could barely stand to look at myself. It was not fun. And if I could put that out of my mind, then I could continue hanging out. But it was really difficult to put that out of my mind, because it's like, wow, I'm a horrible-looking monster. And that's a difficult thought to unthink. Okay. I've been yapping for 10 minutes. Let's get to the reason that the video is titled this. Usually I write titles in the moment. You know, I'm just like, what do I want to call this? But I already know what I want to call this one, because holy fuck. So, oh shit. Oh, that looks cool. Okay, so I do have something to prop it up on. Basically, on the day that I got on the train from Sydney to Melbourne, I was fucking dead, dude. First half of that day, I went to a bunch of beaches. I went to Manly Beach. I went to another beach that was attached to Manly Beach. I don't know if it was the same beach. just like separated or not, like. And then I went to Bondi Beach later in the afternoon, and because it's winter here and it was like getting close on nighttime, like the sun was setting and all that, it was fucking empty. Like I'm 98% sure, because I've heard the name before going to Sydney. I'm 98% sure that it's like Sydney's most popular beach, and I think I've seen images of it online where it's just packed as fuck. And yeah, no, it was pretty much empty. It was really funny. I mean, not empty. Like, there were people on it, but like empty for Sydney's most popular beach. I saw a lot while I was in Sydney, but that was the events, the beginning events of my day, that day. And that was good. That was fun. I was hanging out with people. I was having fun. And then, my train ride kept getting closer. And I started having, mild panic attacks, anxiety attacks, a little bit of physiological symptoms, shortness of breath, bit of chest pain, the huge. I was like, oh fuck, that's not fun, because, it's not. But it was fine, Some of them were related to, like, just the general feeling of lethargy through the day. Some of them had to do with, some people I had met. Some of them had to do with, like, getting to my train on time. Making sure I didn't miss the train. That would have fucking sucked. That would have sucked so much ass. Mild stuff. Having anxiety, trying to, like, breathing exercise it out. Trying to make it work. Trying to just, get through it. Trying to maybe tone it down a bit when it came to the anxiety. And, that worked a little bit. And over time, it got a bit worse. But I think when it really got the worst was, ironically, when I got to the train station. When I was at the train station, waiting for the train, I got on the train. Of course, the train left, 40 minutes after I got on it. But I got on the train. And, I was doing alright. And then I was like, fuck. Fuck. I might have said fuck a couple more times, to be honest. I'm a bit detached from it, and I wanted to make a video about it, at the time, because holy shit, I can't feel as horrible as I felt then. While I was on the train, I was like, okay, I've got to book accommodation, because I hadn't yet, and I needed to. And so I went on to, some websites. I was looking at the specific accommodations. There was one accommodation that we had already looked at for Melbourne that, like, I just hadn't booked, but we said that was probably going to be the one. And I started spiraling. I started, going into the reviews of the places I was looking at to stay. And I started looking at, pretty much just highlighting the bad ones. It's like, fuck, what if this person's experience is my experience? Like, they put like 2 stars or 1 star or 0 stars, and I'm just... I don't know why I started spiraling so hard, but I kind of do. At my last accommodation, I met great people. I met great friends. I met good friends. I think great is a word that is used too often, coinciding with the word good. Because just because something's good doesn't mean it's great. There was this one guy, he was really cool. He wasn't even staying at the accommodation, but he was doing all the same shit that we were doing on one of the days, and then he wasn't there on the other day, and I was kind of sad about that also. But it's like, I missed the vibe we had on that day, because that was so fun, That day was awesome. And the next day, the day that I eventually got onto the train, just lacked that feeling in every way. We went places and we did things, but it wasn't ever as cool or good. And a lot of because made some good friends, couple great friends. But then I also met some people that I, didn't like being around, and I didn't want to be around. And I kind of had to be around them at some points, and it just... I feel like one of my first thoughts when committing to the accommodation, because, I have to book for a certain number of days. And so part of my spiral, started because of the fact that it's like, well, I don't want to book too little days, but I don't want to book too many days also. Because what if I get another situation like this where I'm having fun and we're all having fun, and then all of a sudden I don't want to be around most of these people anymore. And to be fair, I will give a disclaimer. It was never most of these people in Sydney. Like, I never wanted to get away from most of these people. It was just a couple people, A couple of people I tried to escape. A couple of people, like, I tried to just ignore or whatever. Like, so, yeah. On that train, part of it was accommodation booking. Part of it was, well, now I'm going to a new place. How do I know that even if I find people around my age, or, at least around my maturity level, who, like, are pretty chill, like, how the fuck am I gonna make friends? I mean, to be fair, I wasn't really thinking about how I'd made friends the first time, which the answer to that was just go on a tour and talk to the people on the tour. It was a tour run by the accommodation, so, I was meeting people. And that's how I met the guy who wasn't with the accommodation. And I was like, wait, you're not staying here? Why the fuck are you on this tour? But I guess, he found out about it somehow, some way. He was like 10 minutes early, and someone who lived there was like 10 minutes late. It was so funny. Anyway, point being, I hadn't really well, part of it was, I don't know. I was just panicked and afraid of how I was going to make friends. Would there even be people to make friends with? And if there were, would they even want to be friends and this and that and all that? And it sounds stupid in hindsight. It sounds silly, right? Because these are all things that I know I can do, that I know I have done. It's not a big deal, but it is, or it was at the time. I had some of the biggest anxiety attacks on that train that I'd had in a long, long time. When, the day before, I was like, okay, I kind of got this handled, I'm out on my own, and it's really not that bad. Even the day before that, I didn't even have any friends, and I was like, okay, I'm out on my own. I'm still fucking super sad and lonely, but at least I kind of have this handled. But then, for some reason, I just couldn't handle everything. It got to the point where, like, I was really struggling to breathe, where I was getting a headache, and my heart was moving so fast, and I know how fast my anxiety can get my heart to move, because, I've had some decently bad anxiety at the gym before, and I've gotten on cardio machines, and with no cardio, like, my heart rate was going into the red, like, past the red even, like, into dangerous heart rate territory. And it was about that. It was about that fast. And I was shaking, I was pacing. I ended up just saying, fuck it, I'll book this shitty fucking accommodation, and I was so scared. I was so scared that night. And eventually I just slept it off. And I was a little bit scared even checking into the accommodation. And it turned out fine. It always does. It always does. And you would think that with over a decade of experience with very bad, debilitating anxiety, the kind of anxiety that can, probably do physical damage to me. The kind of anxiety that can make so much out of so little. You would think after most of my life dealing with that I would be able to handle a bit more. Because I should be used to it by now. And I am, kind of. It gets a bit easier, kind of. But I cannot stress to you how much I wanted to put a bullet in my head just to stop. Fortunately, they don't have a lot of bullets available to the public here. I was actually, earlier when I was saying I was in Melbourne, I was considering making a joke where I said, if you try and find out where I am, just be warned, I'm packing. Well, I would be if I was in the United States, but I'm actually not, but I really will stab you. But it was a dumb joke, and I had actually a better, wording for the joke at the time. But I just kind of threw together whatever the sentence, I threw together the key words of the sentence to give you the general idea of what the joke was going to be. It was a stupid joke, and that's why I didn't say it. But no, I really, I don't know why I can't get a grip. Well, it's not that I can't get a grip, because I got a grip that night, eventually. It took an hour, but I did. And yeah, I had a mental breakdown on a train, but at least I was on a train and not in front of one. I always say to everybody, whenever anybody's afraid of me killing myself, where it's like, I'm too stubborn to kill myself, because that's just the pussy's way out, and, I'm not a quitter. And that is true. But I always walk around and parade about like I have an indomitable will. That I am unbreakable. That no matter what you do, no matter how much damage you inflict, you'll never really get me to break. And I'm not saying you can't get me to have a mental breakdown, because I have one of those, severity aside, I have one of those fairly regularly. Although the one on the train may have been the most severe one I have ever experienced. But that aside, I always like to pretend that I am just unkillable. The only way I can be broken is if somebody kills me for me, And I guess it's kind of a front. I am immensely stubborn, but everyone has their breaking point. And while it is difficult to find mine, honestly, and while that mental breakdown didn't break me, I think I'm most scared that it's not as hard to find that line than I think it is. As I think it is. I haven't found the line yet. Shit, I may never find the line. But, it feels kind of like a car on the road in the pitch black night with really dim headlights. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean it could be right in front of... It doesn't mean that it's not right in front of me. Honestly, if I wasn't on a train, with people trying to sleep on it because it was going overnight, then I would have recorded a video then and there so you could have seen how I was feeling. Because there's no amount of description that can help you understand just how bad it got. And I'm always worried sick that I'm not going to be able to make friends or talk to people. And then, yesterday, went into the lobby, and I sat down in the middle of a large group of people. Not like a together group of people, like a bunch of people were in the lobby, and I sat down in the middle of the lobby. And then all of a sudden I started talking with a guy. And then all of a sudden I started talking with his friends. And all of a sudden I was talking with the majority of the people in that lobby throughout the night. I mean, but walking into that lobby and sitting down was an impossible task, but it wasn't. And I was fine. But everything in me kept telling me I wasn't. And before that, I was chilling in bed, and I got up and I went downstairs because I didn't want to be chilling in bed, but I was lethargic. And I was just out of it. And I was just tired. And I could have gone to bed. But instead I went downstairs. And I talked. And as soon as I actually got to talking with people, I had so much energy. And I texted my friend. And I was like, it's times like this, and this is paraphrasing. I'm not giving you verbatim what I said, but I said, it's times like this where I remember exactly how much of an extrovert I am. And I explained, my dichotomy of energy where I, was so just downtrodden and really didn't even want to get out of bed, versus when I actually started talking to people and I was just there, I was like, it's times like this where I remember just how much of an extrovert I actually am. And I followed that up with me having such extreme social anxiety while being this much of an extrovert has got to be God's idea of a cruel joke, because holy shit. Like, I want to be able to interact with people and talk and have fun, because that's just what gives me life. And yet, in order to start that process, I have to put my own body through horrible things. I have to put my mind through horrible things. I have to go against everything every part of me is telling me. My brain and body are screaming, don't go there. The void in my stomach is endless, and I can't escape it. Sometimes it makes me want to puke, and I just walk up anyway. And after I walk up and start talking, I feel great. But I have to push against everything that everything is telling me, and it is the thing that's holding me back the most, and it's subconscious. I can't even stop it if I wanted to. There's probably thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of things that I just didn't do. Things that I didn't say. Things that just never ended up happening because I let my anxiety hold me back. And nowadays, I'm so much better about pushing back. Die on your own time, asshole. I'm just playing. No. Anyway. I've gotten so much better about pushing back against my anxiety. Pushing back, trying. And by so much better, I mean out of those millions of things that I might miss in the future, I think I'm doing 1% more, and that's generous. It still stops me from so much. And I'm fighting back the best I can. Because truth be told, I've always strived to be brave and courageous and shit. And honestly, despite how much I'm held back, I genuinely think I am. Anyway, no, I think I am. I genuinely think that I am brave, and I am strong and stubborn and refuse to give taken time for me to get as good as I am now. It's going to take more time for me to get better. And even though I'm good at pushing back, apparently my anxiety is too. Because I had the worst fucking attack of my life trying to book accommodation for a city that I'm going to be staying in for a few days. It shouldn't have been that bad. There's no reason it should have been that bad. But I guess it just doesn't like when I push back. Now, sometimes I'm hearing voices and they're telling me bullshit. Other times it's kind of the opposite. Other times I wish I was hearing the voices of the things that were telling my body to shut down so that I could actually say something to them. You know? But it was like a conversation was happening without me in my own head. It was like all of my anxieties, all of the spiraling, all the panicking. I know surface level what was happening there. Like, I know the origin of those. I know the origin of those thoughts, but I don't know where they went. I don't know what the spiral actually entailed, because it was like a conversation was happening in my own brain without me. I wasn't there. I didn't get to hear all of the reasons that my body started shutting down. But that didn't stop it from shutting down. You would think that I would have some sort of executive decisions here, but I don't. Speaking of origin, I'm kind of disappointed with how the first game went, not gonna lie. Bit of a pushback from Queensland in the end of the first half. And honestly, really good defense from them in this second half. But they didn't... They were making up for lost time, they were making up for, mistakes they made in the first half. They weren't disciplined enough, they weren't coordinated enough in the first half, and really, they just didn't have the time to make up for the damage that was done. Fingers crossed on game 2. Really, really, really resisted the urge to yell Queenslander in a crowd in Sydney. Because I feel like if they found out it was me, I would have gotten jumped. No, I'm playing. Anyway, that was completely non sequitur. Anyway. No, it's... fuck. Also, the reason I said speaking of origin was because I was saying that I knew the origin of my spirals, but I didn't know where they went. Just in case you were confused on that. And... I don't know. Honestly, I'm afraid a lot. Like, really, really afraid. So much of the time. And honestly, I'm glad that I've started doing things that I'm afraid of so often these days, but it's draining. It's exhausting. It's a hard thing to do. And that's what being brave is. Being brave isn't being fearless. Being fearless isn't something that you can do. And if you are truly fearless, then that just means that you don't have anything worth fearing for. And that's a way more depressing thought than being afraid. Everybody's afraid. I just wish that I wasn't so afraid. I just wish that when I'm so afraid, my body wouldn't betray me. I don't understand why its first thought, not my first thought, its first thought, whenever I start being afraid, is to just start shutting down my important vital systems and so yeah, getting a grip. It's difficult. A lot of the times, I'd forgotten about moments like this. Not like this, but like what happened on the train. A lot of the times, I forget about moments that happened on the train. I mean, shit, I can't even really feel what I felt on the train anymore. Because I forget, a lot of the times, I'll be like, I have no idea why people kill themselves, you know? But in moments like that, where I'm so unbelievably overwhelmed, I get it. Honestly, I thought that was going to happen all night. I was suffering. And I would rather die than suffer like that. Wow, what a depressing video. Anyway, I'm gonna call it here. Yeah, if anybody around Melbourne is watching this, hit me up. Tell me what I should do. You know? Tell me what your favorite parts of things are. Yeah, I'm gonna go.